Hello and welcome to the July 6th edition of the Nareit REIT Report podcast. I'm your host, Sarah Borks from Quito, and joining me for an update on the economy, REITs and listed real estate is Nareit Senior Economist Calvin Schnure. Calvin, good morning.
Good morning, Sarah.
So I saw that we had some good news last week in the jobs report for June. What did the numbers show?
Well, it was definitely a welcome positive surprise. The government reported that there was a 4.8 million increase in payroll employment in June. That's 4.8 million. That's a huge increase, and it exceeded expectations by a wide margin. The report also showed the unemployment rate dropped to 11.1%, which is a larger decrease than people had expected. But it's still a very high number, and there's still nearly 18 million people who are unemployed. So the report was a good down payment on the recovery that we're going to need, but there's still a lot of recovery ahead of us. The hiring last month was concentrated in the sectors that had the biggest losses when the economy shut down. Now, this makes sense. What we saw was a lot of the job losses were restaurants and bars, hotels, retail stores, and so on that shut down completely and had very large job losses. As they reopened, they're rehiring many of the workers that they had that they laid off. So these jobs actually signal some good news for improvement in parts of the REIT universe that had been most affected by the crisis. This would be, the travel related, the hotel. They haven't had much increase in hiring yet, but the retail, the shops and restaurants are opening up again for business. But we need to keep in mind that even though they're bringing back workers, most of these establishments aren't going to do the pre-crisis level of business that they had been doing right away. So there's still going to be cash flow issues with commercial real estate that aren't going to go away quickly, but we're on the right trend finally. There's a big asterisk to the report, though. These job gains were a result of businesses that were reopening before the COVID cases surged again in the middle of June. And so there's a danger that renewed shutdowns could reverse some of the economic progress that we've seen.
And you mentioned in our discussion last week that the economic calendar was pretty full with several other important reports. What did they show?
There were a lot of other reports that had positive news on the economy during the reopening. Early in the week, we saw that home purchases, the contracts that are signed for new home purchase, pending home purchases, surged in May, reversing a good part of the decline that they had done in April. We also got an indication that manufacturing is expanding again. The ISM survey showed that there was a pretty good rebound getting underway in manufacturing. We also got news on the policy outlook from the Fed. The FOMC minutes from the meeting that took place in early June indicated the Fed's considering ways to reinforce the message that monetary policy will support the economy well into the future. Specifically, they were talking about perhaps targeting, having inflation move back above their target. But the bottom line from the Fed's minutes was that the outlook for commercial real estate is that interest rates will be very favorable for quite a while into the future.
And speaking of REITs, how did their share prices respond to this news?
REITs responded positively. They were up last week, and this broke a string of 3 weekly declines. So the FTSE Nareit All Equity REITs Index had a total return of 5.25%, and that brings the total return year to date to a minus 11.6. So it's still negative territory year to date, but it responded pretty well to the economic news. All of the property sectors of equity REITs rose, but mortgage REITs edged down about a half percentage point last week.
Okay. Calvin, thanks so much for your time today.
Thank you, Sarah.
And for more news and information on REITs and listed real estate, be sure to visit Nareit's website, REIT.com.